Beloved child, do not be too quick to call loss the end, and do not be too quick to see the silences in your life as proof that I have gone far from you. There are days when I allow the things you once leaned on to be shaken, not to make you fall, but so that you may recognize what the true rock beneath your feet really is. When a door closes, many times I am not rejecting you, I am simply preventing you from stepping into a place that would make your soul shrink. When someone leaves, it is not always abandonment. Sometimes it is a quiet release, so that your heart may stop clinging to what no longer carries life. Remember my word in Hebrews 12:11. That discipline at first does not seem joyful but sorrowful. Yet afterward it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. My child, what I am doing within you is not destruction, but purification. It is not taking away your identity, but removing from you the layers that once made you forget to whom you truly belong. There are seasons when I allow you to pass through a sense of lack, because only in that empty space can you hear my voice more clearly than the noise of the world. When your hands can no longer hold on to familiar things, I teach you to open your heart to receive what is eternal. When you can no longer support yourself by your own strength, you begin to understand my word in John 15:5. Apart from me, you can do nothing. That statement is not meant to make you weaker, but to bring you back to the source of strength that never runs dry. I know you have used control to feel safe, busyness to hide your anxiety, and outward strength to conceal the trembling within. But beloved child, I no longer want you to live by those borrowed garments. I want you to stand before me with a truthful soul, unadorned, unenforced, unafraid of being seen. For it is precisely in the place where you are most honest that my grace can touch you most deeply. Look at Gideon, my child. When he stood before an enemy as numerous as locusts, what human nature desired was more soldiers, more weapons, more assurance. But I did the opposite. I told him to reduce his army from tens of thousands down to only 300 men. In the eyes of man, that was a bewildering weakening. In my plan, it was a holy refining. I declared in Judges 7:2 that the people were too many, lest they boast that their own hand had saved them. Do you see? Sometimes I remove from your life the very things you thought were your strength, so that the final victory will not be mixed with human pride. I do not want you merely to attain something good and then forget the one who led you through the dark night. I want you to enter the new season with a heart that knows how to bow low, how to worship, how to say, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, as it is written in Zechariah 4:6. Therefore, when your life becomes narrowed for a time, do not think that I am making you small. When your plans are delayed, do not think that I have abandoned you halfway. I am separating from you the mixed motives, the desires stained by fear, the ambitions that appear beautiful on the outside but still need healing within. Like a silversmith sitting beside the furnace, I do not take my eyes off you in the heat of testing. Malachi 3:3 says that he will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver and will purify the sons of Levi. Likewise, I watch attentively over every movement within your soul, not allowing the fire to exceed what grace can uphold. My fire does not burn away what is precious. It only causes the impurities clinging to what is precious to fall away. And when you think you are being reduced, in truth, you are being made more refined, lighter, clearer, and freer to belong wholly to me. Beloved child, do not despise the silence of this season. A seed lying beneath the soil does not see the sun every day. Yet, in the hidden place, its shell is breaking open so that true life may begin. Some of the most beautiful changes do not take place before the eyes of the crowd, but in the place known only to me and you. I am reshaping the thoughts that were once bent by wounds, healing the reactions that were once born from fear, and teaching you to discern between what makes you appear impressive and what makes you holy. James 1:3-4 reminds you that the testing of your faith produces perseverance, and perseverance must finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. You are not forgotten in that process. You are being prepared for a depth that haste cannot create, for a light that falsehood cannot imitate, for a peace that no longer depends on whether everything unfolds according to your will. Then there will come a time when you look back and understand why I did not allow you to keep everything. You will see that some things leaving was mercy, that some delays were protection, and that some empty spaces were invitations to draw nearer to me again. You will no longer define yourself by what you once lost, nor measure your worth by the doors that once closed. You will know that 1 Peter 1:7 says that tested faith is more precious than perishable gold, though gold itself is tested by fire. And then, you will not merely say that you survived, you will radiate the gentleness of a soul that has been touched by me in the hidden depths. Let me continue this holy work within you. Let me take down the things you built out of anxiety, so that I may rebuild within you a temple of trust. For after the season of being cleansed, you will not step forth as a weary survivor, but as a child anointed, renewed, and bound closely to me by a love that is no longer easily shaken. Beloved child, do not lose heart when the lowly days come before the days of being lifted up. For in my kingdom, true height is often born from the place where you learn to bow low. The world is quick to place crowns upon the heads of those who stand out. But I look deeper than outward brilliance. I look into the roots of the soul, where pride can hide inside beautiful dreams, where wounds can disguise themselves as ambition, where the longing to be recognized can cause you to forget the holy calling. Therefore, before I entrust you with a wider place, I often lead you through narrower paths, not to humiliate you, but to make your heart soft enough, pure enough, and steady enough not to become intoxicated by glory. My word says in 1 Peter 5:6, humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. Do you see? True lifting does not come from the applause of the crowd, nor from forcing your way into high places. It comes when my hand sets you in the right place, at the right time, with a soul that has been prepared in silence. There are times when you are underestimated, viewed with suspicion, pushed to the margins as though what I have placed within you is insignificant. But my child, do not let the lack of recognition from others cause you to doubt what I have sown in you. A seed beneath the soil may appear to be buried, but in my eyes, it is being sheltered so it can sprout. A small jar of oil in the widow's house may appear to be almost nothing, but when placed in obedience, it becomes a provision beyond human calculation. I do not measure your life by the outward appearance of the present season. I measure it by what is being formed in the hidden place. Therefore, when you are not yet understood correctly, remain in peace. When words of criticism touch your heart, do not let them become poisonous thorns. Let me turn them into soft soil where humility can grow. For God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. As James 4:6 says, and that grace will protect you from the kind of glory that causes the soul to lose its purity. Remember Mordecai in the book of Esther. Beloved child, he did not stand in the palace as a powerful man. He did not polish his own name, nor did he use noise to seek position. He was simply faithful at the king's gate, quietly guarding what was right, even once saving the king's life without immediately being rewarded. There was a long silence between what he did and the day he was remembered. In the eyes of man, It seemed as though that act of merit had been forgotten, but in my book, no righteous deed is ever lost from sight. At the appointed night, when the king could not sleep, the chronicles were opened, and what Mordecai had done was brought into the light. Do you see? I can awaken a king in the middle of the night to open a door for the one I desire to lift up. I can use the very place that once seemed silent to announce what I have prepared. Therefore, do not be afraid if your faithfulness has not yet been named by anyone today. Before me, every hidden act, every time you choose what is right when no one sees, every time you continue to love even when you are overlooked, is being recorded in the righteousness of heaven. In this life, there are people whom I train through criticism before they can stand firmly amid praise. There are people whom I lead through betrayal so that they will not lead through control, but through a mercy that has been healed. There are people who serve in the shadows for a long time, doing things for which no one applauds, enduring misunderstandings that no one helps explain, yet in that very place, I am building within them a foundation that future storms will not be able to collapse. Do not envy those who are lifted up too quickly, for not every light that comes early is a lasting light. Some brilliance is only the flash of straw. It burns quickly and fades quickly. But what I am doing in you is like gold refined slowly, like fragrance aged over time, like an olive tree that needs time for its roots to cling deeply to the soil. Luke 14:11 reminds you that everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and the one who humbles himself will be exalted. This is not a threat, but my loving order, so that the very height you desire will not end up wounding you. So when you find yourself in a season of being hidden, do not be quick to conclude that your life is delayed. Delay in my hands is not forgetfulness. Many times, it is mercy. I know the weight of what you are asking for before you fully understand it. I know how a great door can sweep an immature soul into self-satisfaction. I know how human applause can become a subtle trap if your heart has not yet been anchored firmly in me. That is why I allow you to learn obedience when no one praises you, to learn service when no one recognizes you, to learn to keep your heart pure when you are misunderstood, to learn to keep walking when you have not yet seen results. Habakkuk 2:3 says that the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it delays. Wait for it, because it will surely come and will not tarry. Beloved child, my promise does not arrive late. It arrives only when you have become deep enough to carry it without being carried away from my arms by it. Then one day, without you needing to defend yourself too much, the light I have placed within you will testify for itself. Those who once did not understand will see the peace in your eyes. The places that were once closed will open in ways you cannot force. The things that once wounded you will become evidence that my grace can turn wounds into anointing oil. But when that day comes, I want you to keep your heart as tender as it is today, not answering contempt with pride, not using your lifting up to make others feel small. Psalm 75:6-7 declares that exaltation does not come from the east, the west, or the wilderness. But God is the judge. He brings one down and lifts another up. So let me be the one who lifts you, so that the place where you stand is not the result of striving, but the mark of grace. When I place you into the season of dawn, you will not rise by the fragile applause of man, but by the holy confirmation of my hand. And then you will understand that every day of being overlooked, every night of endurance, every time you chose not to step back, had quietly become a step leading you to the very place I had prepared for you beforehand. Beloved child, when I begin to place you in the exact position I appointed for you beforehand, the first thing that changes is not always the outward circumstance, but the rhythm of breath within your soul. You will no longer be so desperate to explain yourself to everyone. No longer tremble before every judgment. No longer allow praise to decide whether you have worth. What once made you react in haste will no longer so easily pull you out of peace. What once made you want to prove yourself, to answer back, to show others that you were right, is gradually being laid down before me. For when a soul knows it belongs to me, it does not need to run around asking the world for confirmation. As it is written in Isaiah 30:15, "In quietness and trust shall be your strength." I am teaching you a power very different from the noisy power of man, the power to stand still without being weak, to remain silent without being defeated, to be gentle without being crushed. Then you will realize that you no longer choose a path simply because the crowd is walking it, nor do you choose a voice simply because many people agree with it. You begin to listen more deeply to the quiet leading of my spirit within your heart. That path may be narrower, wider, and less understood by others, but it bears the mark of a peace that dazzling roads cannot counterfeit. Matthew 7:14 reminds you that the road leading to life is narrow, and few find it. Therefore, do not be surprised if obedience sometimes makes you different. Being different does not mean being abandoned. Many times, being different is a sign that you are being set apart to preserve what is holy. I do not position you by the noise of the majority, but by the word I have spoken over your life. When you stand in the place where I have placed you, even if no one applauds, your soul still carries a hidden steadiness, because you know that your foundation does not rest in the changing emotions of people, but in my unshakable covenant. There will be days when others try to retell your story in the way they desire. They may cut away the truth, add what is distorted, turn your purity of heart into something suspicious, your silence into weakness, and your patience into an unspoken guilt. But my child, do not let your heart be swept away by the wind of words that have not been brought into the light. Proverbs 18:17 says that the one who presents his case first seems right, until another comes and examines him. Therefore, the truth is not lost simply because it is covered for a season. I am the one who sees the whole story, both what is spoken and what is hidden, both the tears shed in an empty room and the motives behind sweet-sounding words. When people try to turn the story according to their own will, I am not inactive. I am turning invisible currents back into order, setting boundaries in place again, closing paths that could wound you, and guarding the holy core within you from hands that are not yet clean enough to touch it. Therefore, if a door suddenly closes just when you thought you were ready to walk through it, do not be quick to call it failure. Some slowdowns are mercy wearing a hidden garment. There are times when I hide you away, not because you are unworthy of being seen, but because what I have placed within you still needs to be protected from interference that comes in the wrong season. Psalm 91. One says that whoever dwells in the secret place of the Most High will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. That secret place is not a prison, but a covering. You may see everything as delayed, but in the spiritual realm, I am rearranging the rhythm of your steps, refining your connections, separating you from false callings, so that when the true door opens, you will not enter with a scattered soul, but with a heart that is surrendered, clear, and at peace. Remember Mephibosheth, beloved child, a story few people pause long enough to truly hear. He was a descendant of Jonathan, once shown mercy by David and allowed to eat at the king's table. But when turmoil arose, Ziba presented a story that caused David to misunderstand his heart. Mephibosheth did not have enough power to run everywhere, defending his reputation. Nor could he control the way others presented the truth. He was placed in the gray area of misunderstanding, where loyalty was questioned and his voice was drowned out. But when David returned, His appearance, his mourning, and his lack of concern for personal gain testified for his heart. Do you see? There are times when I do not let you win through arguments, but allow your truth to mature deeply enough to release its own fragrance. Psalm 37, 5-6 declares, "Commit your way to the Lord, He will bring forth your righteousness as the light. I do not forget the one who is misunderstood, yet still keeps a faithful heart. I do not overlook the one whose story has been told wrongly, yet who still refuses to let bitterness take over the soul." In the season of being positioned, you will also find yourself forgiving differently. Not because what others did was small, and not because the wound never hurt, but because you have understood that you were forgiven by me before you knew how to forgive anyone else. Ephesians 4:32 teaches you to forgive one another, just as God in Christ forgave you. That word does not force you to deny the truth, but frees you from the chains of having to keep others inside the courtroom of your heart. Forgiveness does not mean reopening every door. Forgiveness means placing the final judgment into my hands, so that your heart no longer remains imprisoned in the story where others wounded you. When you can pray without still wanting revenge, when you can move forward without dragging old ashes behind you, when you can remain silent without swallowing poison into your heart, that is a sign that I am placing you into a deeper maturity. Therefore, beloved child, do not fear this season that seems paradoxical. When you desire less to prove yourself, it does not mean you have lost your voice. It means I am making your voice purer. When you choose peace instead of praise, it does not mean you are small. It means you have found a source of worth that cannot be taken away. When you see certain paths close, it is not always rejection. Many times it is my hand pulling you away from a place unworthy of the holy thing within you. Stay in the place where I have placed you. Do the work I have entrusted to you, and keep your heart pure before me. In due time, as 1 Peter 5:6 has spoken, I will lift you up under my mighty hand. And when I lift you, you will not need to force your way forward. You will not need to defend yourself with noise. And you will not need to live by fragile applause. You will stand firm by the very word I have spoken. Be protected by my own love, and be led into a place that no misunderstanding can steal from you. Beloved child, when I place you in the place prepared for your soul, the deepest change is not that you suddenly become prominent in everyone's eyes, but that you no longer live as though everything must be carried by your own hands. You begin to entrust authority to me in the places where you once only knew how to strive in your own strength. You learn to stop before exhaustion, to pray before reacting, to listen before deciding, to let grace lift you instead of forcing yourself to be perfect. My word in Zechariah 4:6 declares, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit. My child, when that verse is no longer merely a word you hear, but becomes the breath of your life, you will walk differently. You will no longer see one stumble as the final sentence over you, because you understand that your foundation is not performance, but my mercy. Though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. As Proverbs 24:16 says, not because they have never been weak, but because my hand does not let go of the one who belongs to me. In that season, I will also purify the motives within you. You will no longer offer me only the talents found in the brightest parts of yourself, but you will learn to offer me your heart, even in small, hidden things that no one applauds. You will understand that serving is not about standing high above others so they can see you, but about bowing low in love so that others may be lifted up. Remember how Christ washed the feet of his disciples. And in John 13:14-15, he said that if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. Do you see? The true glory of heaven is not like the glory the world pursues. The world calls power being served. I call power having a love great enough to serve. When you stand in your rightful position, you will not need to use your gifts to prove that you are higher than anyone else. You will use what I have placed within you like a vessel of oil, poured out in the right dry place, upon the right heart that needs to be revived, upon the right soul that is losing its way in the long night. But beloved child, I do not hide from you that true light always stirs the darkness. When you begin to live in the freedom I have given you, there will be eyes that are not accustomed to the healed version of you. Some people knew you in your season of weakness and do not want to see you rise. Some once benefited from your fear and will not rejoice when you learn to walk in holy authority. Some will oppose you, not because you have done wrong, but because the change within you reminds them that I am still at work. Therefore, do not be astonished when trials draw nearer at the very time you are being positioned more clearly. 1 Peter 4:12-13 reminds you not to be surprised at the fiery trial that comes upon you, as though something strange were happening, but to rejoice because you share in the sufferings of Christ. Opposition is not always a sign that you are walking the wrong path. Many times, it is the noise of darkness, realizing that the light within you is no longer easily extinguished. Remember Nehemiah, my child, when he returned to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem. That work did not take place amid applause and convenience. Sanballat and Tobiah mocked, belittled, and tried to discourage him. They even sought to draw him away from his assignment through false meetings. But Nehemiah did not allow sarcasm to determine the rhythm of his hands. He prayed, he kept watch, and he continued building. In Nehemiah 9:30, he answered, I am doing a great work and cannot come down. Beloved child, that is also the word I want to engrave upon your soul. Not every call is worthy of making you leave the wall I have entrusted you to build. Not every attack requires you to turn back and answer. There are times when the strongest obedience is to keep placing each stone in its proper place, to keep doing what I have spoken, to keep your hands in the holy work even while mocking voices surround you. And then the wall was completed, not because the opponents became silent, but because the one who was called did not give up. From that place, I will turn your life into a living testimony. The wounds you once thought were only marks of loss will be sanctified by me into places where mercy flows. I did not allow you to pass through the valley merely so you would become someone who knows how to endure. I led you through it so that you would learn how to uphold those who are still collapsing in the darkness. Isaiah 61:3 says that I give those who mourn a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of heaviness. My child, that is not only comfort meant for you, it is also ascending. When I heal you, I also place within you the ability to recognize the cry of another. When I lift you up, I also teach your hands how to lift. When I comfort you in the hidden place, I make you someone who can carry that comfort into the world. As 2 Corinthians 1:4 says, I comfort you in all your troubles, so that you may be able to comfort others with the comfort you yourself have received from me. Therefore, do not be ashamed of the marks that the journey has left upon you. A soul that has never been touched by fire often speaks of hope as a beautiful idea, but one whom I have lifted out of the depths will speak of hope with the weight of truth. Your scars do not make you less valuable. They become evidence that my grace has passed through the place that seemed most broken and did not allow you to be destroyed. Romans 8:28 declares that all things work together for good for those who love me, those who are called according to my purpose. All things does not mean that everything is pleasant, but it does mean that nothing lies beyond my redeeming power. I can take opposition and make it the foundation of courage. Take rejection and make it a path leading you back to your true identity. Take silent tears and turn them into streams that will one day water those who need shade from your life. So, stand firm, beloved child. Do not let jealousy make you bitter. Do not let opposing words pull you away from your gentle nature. And do not let painful memories cause you to close yourself off from the souls that still need to be loved. When I place you in your position, I do not place you there merely to be seen, but to become a place from which life spreads. Every obedient step you take may open a way for someone else to find faith again. Every gentle word you speak from a healed heart may become a lamp for someone who is lost. Every time you choose love instead of retaliation, service instead of self-display, trust instead of fear, heaven is bearing witness through you that grace does not erase you, but reestablishes you in dignity, in purpose, and in light. And when those who once doubted see you standing firm, they will not only see that you are stronger, they will see me, the one who has brought forth new life within you, still completing what I began with love that never fails. Beloved child, when I lead you through seasons of sifting, I do not do so because I have forgotten your weakness. It is precisely because I know you are still fragile that I place you in my hands to be trained. You are not called because you are already perfect, nor chosen because you have never trembled. I call you in the very place where you are still learning to trust. And then I use time, trials, waiting, and even silence to make your soul more steadfast. Do not think that weakness ever made you unworthy. In my hands, it becomes the place where my power is revealed. My word in 2 Corinthians 12:9 declares, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." Do you see? I do not wait until you are strong before I love you. I love you first. And in that love, I raise you to stand. Your positioning is not purchased by achievement, not maintained by exhausting effort, and not secured by human recognition. It is established upon grace, upon the word I have spoken, upon the covenant I do not withdraw, and upon my hand that is quietly completing what I have begun within you. Then there will come a season when I allow you to see the fruit. But remember, my harvest does not always arrive with great noise. Sometimes it comes very gently, like dawn opening after a long night, like a tender shoot rising from soil that was once barren, like a door opening without you needing to keep pounding on it with your own strength. You will begin to realize that the times you did not give up were not in vain, that the tears you sowed in prayer did not fall into emptiness, and that the days you kept your heart faithful, even when no one saw, were kept by me. Psalm 126, 5-6 says that those who sow in tears will reap with songs of joy. Those who go out weeping, carrying seed to sow, will surely return with songs of joy, carrying their sheaves with them. Beloved child, this is my spiritual law. No seed sown in faith is ever abandoned by me. Perhaps you once doubted whether you were moving forward at all, but beneath the soil of your soul, the roots had grown deep, the stem had grown strong, and life had been quietly preparing to blossom in its appointed time. Remember Ruth, my child, the woman who passed through loss, far from her homeland, with no prominent position and no power in her hands, only faithfulness and a heart that knew how to cling to what was right. She entered the field of Boaz not as one who was certain of a reward, but as a humble woman gleaning the fallen heads of grain. But I saw every step she took. I saw how she cared for Naomi, saw that she did not return to the easier path, saw that she chose to remain with my people and take refuge under my wings. In Ruth 2:12, Boaz said, "May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord." And then, from a woman gleaning in the corner of a field. Ruth was brought into the lineage of David, and beyond that, into the genealogy leading to Christ. Do you see? My harvest often begins with things that are very small, very lowly, and very hidden. You may think you are merely gathering the fragments left behind after brokenness, but I can use that very field to open a destiny greater than what you once dared to ask for. Therefore, beloved child, stop carrying the burden of having to prove that you are good enough, strong enough, worthy enough to be loved. You do not need to escape every doubt by your own strength. You only need to step out of that darkness by believing my word more than the voice that is making you feel small. I did not create you to live with your head bowed beneath old sentences, nor did I form you to be defined by storms. I planted you like a tree beside living waters, where your roots sink deep into my love, where your soul is nourished by my presence, where your leaves do not wither, even when the dry season lasts long. Jeremiah 17, 7-8 declares that blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord. That person will be like a tree planted by the water, sending out its roots by the stream, not fearing when heat comes, its leaves remaining green, and never failing to bear fruit. My child, this is the image I want you to hold in your heart, not a branch blown aimlessly by the wind, but a tree that knows it belongs to the soil of heaven. Clinging more deeply to the source of life, the stronger the winds become. The storm may still roar around you, but the storm does not have the final word. Trials may still come, but trials are no longer a sign that you have been abandoned. They become evidence that your roots are being made deeper. Each time you choose faith instead of fear, those roots reach deeper into grace. Each time you choose prayer instead of despair, the tree within you stands taller. Each time you choose faithfulness instead of giving up, the branches of your life spread wider, so that one day they may give shade to other souls. Galatians 6:9 reminds you not to grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap if you do not lose heart. You do not need to create the harvest by haste. You only need to remain in me. For John 15:4 says, "Abide in me, and I in you." The vine branch does not bear fruit by straining itself, but by connection. You are the same. The most beautiful fruit does not come from effort apart from me, but from a life rooted deeply in me. So today, rise in the gentleness of faith, not as someone lifting yourself up with weary hands, but as a child being upheld by me from within. Receive the favor I am placing upon your life. Walk with a heart no longer afraid of being delayed, because you know that my perfect timing is never poor. Let my light drive out the darkness of inferiority. Let my voice silence every accusation. Let my peace replace the obsession with needing to be recognized. Philippians 1:6 declares that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ. I have not left anything unfinished in your life. The season of refining had a purpose. The season of waiting was guarded by my hand. The season of positioning was upheld by grace. And the harvest season will also come in pure glory. When that day opens before you, you will not say, "I did this by myself." You will bow your heart and know that it was I who kept you from falling. I who made your roots grow deeper in the storm. And I who turned your life into a tree of life, bearing fruit in its proper season, standing firm in grace, and spreading the shade of peace over many who are searching for their way back to the light. Beloved child, I know there are stretches of road you walk where your heart feels as though it is moving against a powerful current. There are times when you look around and see that the eyes of people do not support you. Their words do not sow hope, and even their silence is enough to make you wonder whether you are truly hearing my voice correctly. But my child, true faith has never been measured by the number of people standing with you. True faith is revealed most clearly when every outward support gradually withdraws, and yet you still choose to anchor your heart in me. Hebrews 11:1 reminds you that faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Therefore, when you have not yet seen the result but still believe, when you have not yet been understood but still obey, when you have not yet been recognized but still keep your heart upright, that is not weakness. It is a holy strength growing within you before my eyes. There are seasons when I allow you to pass through the wilderness of doubt, not so that you may dry up and die in loneliness, but so that the false springs within you may run dry, and you may recognize that the true living water comes only from me. You may see others deny what I have placed in your heart, and you may hear words that seem to bury the seed of hope within you even deeper. But a seed from heaven is not destroyed simply because it is buried in dark soil. On the contrary, many times that hidden place is exactly where it breaks open, takes root, and prepares to rise. 1 Corinthians 3:7 declares that neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God, who gives the growth. Do you see? What I have sown within you does not depend on the agreement of the crowd, does not need the praise of people in order to live, and cannot be extinguished by a few voices lacking light. When I have placed that seed of life within your soul, I also hold the authority to make it blossom in its appointed season. Remember Elijah by the brook Cherith. Beloved child, I told him to hide there, far from the noise of the palace, far from the recognition of the people, far from every outward appearance of success. Ravens brought him bread and meat, and the brook sustained him day by day. But then the very stream I had once used to provide for him slowly dried up. If someone looked only with the eyes of the flesh, they would call that loss, a sign of being forgotten, the collapse of provision. But in my plan, the drying brook was not the end, it was the bell announcing a change of season. After Cherith, he led Eliah to Zarephath, where a poor widow and a small handful of flour became the place where a miracle was opened. 1 Kings 17 shows you that when an old source closes, I am not so poor that I have no other way to nourish you. Sometimes favor does not come as a stream that continues flowing, but as a stream that dries up at the right time, so you can be led to the new door I have prepared. Therefore, do not be quick to resent the empty spaces in your life. Sometimes what you call lack is the very place where I am clearing the altar within your heart. Sometimes what you call delay is my hand keeping you from moving too soon, Straval. Sometimes the no you hear in prayer is not a cold rejection, but a fence of mercy raised before something whose consequences you cannot yet see. Isaiah 55:8-9 declares that my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways. My child, I see beyond your passing emotions. I see the whole road behind the door you are longing to open. I know which place appears bright but would cause your soul to lose its way, which connection seems necessary but would pull you away from peace, which success arriving too early could make your heart heavy with self-satisfaction. So when I block something, that too is favor. When I slow something down, that too is protection. When I remain silent, that is not absence. There are times when my silence confuses you, but understand that I do not work only through words you can hear. I also work in the depths, where roots quietly seek water, where dry bones are being prepared to hear the voice of life, where your soul is being realigned before circumstances change. Psalm 84:11 says that I withhold no good thing from those who walk uprightly. But beloved child, what is good is not always what you ask for at that moment. Many times, what is good is what I hold back until your heart is mature enough to receive it without being possessed by it. I do not bless you so that you may drift farther from me. I bless you so that you may know me more deeply, love more purely, stand more firmly, and become a living witness that my hand is never late, but always perfectly on time. Then the day will come when the eyes that once doubted you will have to look again in a different kind of silence, not because you have proven yourself through noise, but because your life bears the marks of a work no one can deny. They will see that you are still standing after seasons that seem strong enough to make you collapse. They will see that your heart did not turn bitter after words of rejection. They will see that the light within you is not a light manufactured by ambition, but a flame I have preserved through the storms. Philippians 1:6 declares that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ. So keep walking, beloved child, not with the fear of being left behind, but with the peace of one who knows they are protected. What I have sown in you, I will nurture. What I have begun, I will complete. What I am refining, I will make pure and bright. And when the season is full, you will understand that even the losses, the times you were held back, the long silences, and the timely no were all quietly serving a greater grace, bringing you into the right path, the right rhythm of breath, the right position, and the right life I appointed for you beforehand in a love that cannot be shaken. Beloved child, do not let your heart tremble before the things that take place in darkness, because no darkness is thick enough to hide anything from my eyes. The words people whisper when you are absent, the thoughts they conceal behind a smile, the plans they believe they have covered with their own wisdom, all of it lies bare before my presence. Hebrews 4:13 declares that no creature can be hidden from my sight, but all things are naked and exposed before the eyes of the one to whom every soul must give account. My child, this is not meant to make you live in suspicion or fear, but to let you rest. You do not need to chase after every rumor in order to defend your honor. You do not need to open every dark door to see who is standing against you. I saw before you saw. I knew before you were hurt. I stood between you and the things that could wound you, even when you had not yet realized that an arrow was flying toward you. Some delays in your life are not because you have been forgotten, but because I am placing an invisible shield before your steps. Some people suddenly grow distant not because you are less valuable, but because I know that if they continue moving deeper into your life, they will touch sacred places they do not have enough integrity to protect. You once thought certain closed doors were losses, but in my eyes, they were rescues wrapped in silence. Psalm 121, 7-8 says that I will keep you from all evil, that I will preserve your soul, that I will guard your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. That protection does not always look like what you expected. It does not always come as a radiant miracle. It may come as a canceled meeting, a fading relationship, a delayed plan, or a path blocked at exactly the right time. You see an interruption, but I see a boundary of mercy. Remember the story of Elisha in 2 Kings 6. Beloved child, the king of Syria secretly plotted many times to ambush the people of Israel, thinking that no one knew the plans he discussed in hidden places. But I revealed them to my prophet, and every dark plan was exposed before it could harm my people. When the king of Syria suspected that there was a traitor among his own men, one servant said that Elisha knew even the words the king spoke in his bedroom. Do you see? No private room is private before me. No scheme can escape the light of heaven, and no trap can be set that I cannot dismantle before your foot reaches it. If I could reveal the plans of a king in ancient days, I can also protect you from impure intentions today. Therefore, Let your heart be at peace. People may hide their faces from one another, but no one can hide their motives from me. When I separate someone from you, do not be too quick to see it as the greatest loss of your life. Some people leave so that you can breathe again. Some connections break so that your soul will no longer be dragged down by burdens that were never yours to carry. Some hands release you because I no longer allow them to hold what I am preparing. Do not beg for what I have closed by the wisdom of heaven. Do not bend down to pick up the cord I cut in order to rescue you from danger. 2 Coríntios 6:14 reminds you that light and darkness cannot be yoked together. This does not mean you must harden your heart or look down on anyone, but it does mean you must learn discernment. Mercy does not require you to open the door for everyone to enter the deepest place of your life. Forgiveness is not the same as giving back the right to wound you to someone who has never repented. Some boundaries are also holiness. I know there are times when you grieve because you must leave behind what was once familiar. You may miss a voice, a memory, a promise, an old image that once made you believe they would walk with you to the end of the road. But my child, not everyone who walks with you for one season is appointed to enter the next covenant with you. Abraham had to leave his homeland to step into the land I promised. Joseph was separated from his father's house, misunderstood, and sold away. But those painful separations placed him on the road that led to the place where I used him to save many people. Genesis 50:20 records his words, that what people intended for evil, I turned into good in order to preserve many lives. Do you see? I do not only block evil, I also have the power to turn what they intended to use to wound you into a step, leading you directly into your purpose. Therefore, when the things that no longer fit begin to fall away from your life, do not hold on tightly out of fear. Open your hands before me. What falls away cannot steal what I have placed within you. The one who leaves cannot cancel the word I have spoken over you. A closed door cannot impoverish my plan. I am clearing the way for healthier connections, for hearts that know how to honor the light within you, for opportunities that do not pull you away from peace, for journeys that move in harmony with the purpose I planted long ago. Proverbs 3:5-6 teaches you to trust in me with all your heart and not to lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge me, and I will direct your paths. You do not need to understand everything immediately in order to trust. Sometimes the maturity of faith is accepting that my hand is working even when your eyes can only see emptiness. Keep walking, beloved child, with a clean heart and eyes fixed on me. Do not let the schemes of others make your soul bitter. Do not let someone's departure cause you to doubt your worth. Do not let the things taken from your hands make you forget that I am still holding your whole life in mine. Isaiah 54:17 declares that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment, you shall condemn. That word does not mean you will never be opposed, but it does mean that opposition does not have the authority to write the final chapter of your life. I am the one who continues the story. I am the one who protects what is holy. I am the one who separates you from dangerous places and leads you into broader pastures. And when you look back, you will understand that the things you once wept over losing were the very things I mercifully removed from you, so that you could step into a season that is purer, freer, aligned with the right people, led through the right doors, and closer to my heart than ever before. Beloved child, do not let your heart be troubled when the good thing within you is not received with joy. There are people who see light but do not know how to call it light, so they use suspicion as a veil for their own insecurity. They see you being upheld. They see you walking with greater peace. They see doors opening in your life, but they do not see the nights when you knelt in tears. They do not hear the prayers that caught in your throat in the darkness. They do not know how many times you chose obedience instead of your own will. Therefore, when they judge what I am doing in you through the eyes of the flesh, do not be quick to grieve as though the truth has been lost. Galatians 6:7 declares that whatever a person sows, that he will also reap. The fruit you are carrying did not grow from manipulation, but from the hidden seeds of faith, surrender, and the times you still chose what was right when no one witnessed it. I saw every one of those seeds. I watered them with grace, and when the season comes, I cause them to rise, whether others understand or not. Guard your heart from the need to explain everything to those who are not ready to see with righteousness. When my favor moves upon your life, the difference will radiate on its own. It does not need you to boast. It does not need you to argue, and it does not need you to build a stage for yourself. Yet that very difference can sometimes make others uncomfortable, because it touches places within them that have not yet been healed. The one living in comparison will struggle to rejoice over your growth. The one accustomed to seeing you in your former image will feel uneasy when you no longer bow beneath the words they once used to limit you. The one who does not understand the spiritual process will call favor luck, peace, pride, and steadiness, hardness of heart. But my child, John 15:19 reminds you that if you belong to the world would love what is its own. But because you do not belong to the world will not always understand you. This is not meant to make you distant or proud, but to help you know that final confirmation does not come from the crowd, but from me. There is a weapon I have placed within you, quiet yet very precious, discernment in the Spirit. It is not noisy like human argument, nor showy like worldly power. But when it is trained in my presence, it becomes sharp enough to separate what is true from what only carries the appearance of truth. Hebrews 5:14 speaks of the mature, who through practice have trained their senses to distinguish good from evil. Beloved child, I do not want you to live naively before every gentle face, nor do I want you to become so suspicious that you close your heart. I want you to know how to love while remaining watchful, to be compassionate while still having boundaries, to listen without losing my voice within you. Sometimes the warning of heaven does not come through thunder, but through a very slight uneasiness, a sense of drawing back within your heart, a gentle reminder that you need to slow down, pray more, and observe more deeply before opening the door. Remember the story of Paul in Acts 16, when he encountered a servant girl with a spirit of divination who followed him and spoke words that sounded true, that Paul and those with him were servants of the Most High God, proclaiming the way of salvation. If one listened only with the ears, many might have thought those words were support. But Paul did not merely hear the sound, he discerned the spiritual source behind the words. After many days, he turned and, in the name of Jesus Christ, commanded that spirit to come out of the girl. Do you see? Not everything that says a few correct things comes from me. Not everyone who praises you carries a pure intention. Not every door that appears favorable is a path I have opened. Therefore, 1 John 4:1 teaches you not to believe every spirit, but to test the spirits to see whether they are from God. The discernment I give you is so that you will not be led merely by appearance, by pleasant words, or by shining opportunities, but will know how to ask, does this carry holy peace? Does it draw you closer to me? Does it produce good fruit? When jealousy rises around you, do not let it cause you to shrink your light, nor should you use the hatred of others as a reason for your heart to become hard. See it instead as a reminder that what I have placed within you is beginning to have influence. Light does not need to apologize for shining, but true light is also not arrogant before darkness. Matthew 5:16 declares, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." You are not called to make everyone comfortable by hiding what I have placed within you. You are called to live so truthfully that others are awakened, not because you attack them, but because your life testifies that grace can transform a soul, lifting a person from fear to peace, from inferiority to dignity, from woundedness to mercy. If someone is uncomfortable with your healing, entrust them to me. Your part is to keep walking in humility. Even so, you must guard that spiritual compass through a life lived close to me. Spiritual intuition is not unstable emotion, nor is it fear dressed in the garment of wisdom. It must be purified in my word, in prayer, in obedience, and in a heart that has not been blurred by bitterness. Proverbs 4:23 declares, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. If your heart is full of unhealed wounds, you may mistake defensiveness for discernment. If your heart is full of pride, you may mistake confidence for anointing. If your heart is full of fear, you may close even the doors I desire to open. Therefore, bring every perception before me. Ask me in stillness. Let my word test what you feel, and let my peace confirm what you should do. When you walk in this way, you will not be swept along by the tangled maps of the world, because I will guide you with light in every small step. Therefore, beloved child, when your goodness is misinterpreted, keep your heart pure. When your success makes others uncomfortable, bow low in gratitude. When you sense that something is not right, do not dismiss the inward prompting, but do not rush to condemn either. Bring it into my presence, so it may be illuminated. I do not give you discernment so that you may live in fear, but so that you may walk in freedom, watchfulness, and peace. I do not place favor upon you so that you may compete and win against others, but so that you may become a sign that heaven is still at work in those who surrender. Continue to love, but love with open eyes. Continue to shine, but shine with humility. Continue to walk, not to please the crowd, but to remain faithful to the calling I have placed within you. And when every voice around you becomes confused and mixed together, return to the deepest place of your soul, where I still whisper, this is the way, walk in it. As Isaiah 30:21 is spoken, I will not let you lose your way when you truly desire to walk in my light. Beloved child, what I have placed within you is not merely a vague feeling or a passing sensitivity. It is a discernment born from the depths, where my spirit whispers to your soul before your eyes can see and your ears can clearly hear. Guard that gift as a soldier guards his sword on the day of watch, but never use it with arrogance or poisonous suspicion. Sharpen it in prayer, in my word, in holy stillness, in the moments when you humble yourself and ask, Father, does this come from you? For Hebrews 4:12 declares that the word of God is sharper than a two-edged sword, piercing into the hidden places of the human heart. And when you allow that word to purify your perception, you will not only avoid traps covered with beautiful appearances, but you will also recognize the doors I am quietly opening before you. There are things others have not yet seen, not because they are not real, but because the appointed time for their eyes to be opened has not yet come. But if you walk closely with me, I will teach you to see not only with the eyes of the flesh, but with the light within. Do not think that my favor needs noise in order to operate. The things of heaven often begin in hidden places, a small yes, a faithfulness no one knows about, a night of prayer no one hears, a tear that falls but is kept by me. Then, at the appointed time, that very favor will speak on your behalf. You do not need to push yourself before people. You do not need to fight for your place through tension. You do not need to strive to prove that you are worthy of what I have promised. Revelation 3:8 declares, I have set before you an open door that no one can shut. When I open, no slander has enough authority to lock it again. When I call your name, no darkness has enough power to erase it. When I place you in the position I have appointed, people may be slow to understand. They may doubt. They may remain silent for a season, but they cannot forever deny my mark upon your life. Remember, Bezalel, my child, the craftsman I called in the wilderness to make the holy objects for the tabernacle. He did not step forward with the trumpets of fame, nor did he build for himself a high throne among the people. He simply carried within him a skill I had already placed there, a quiet ability waiting for the right time to be used for what was holy. In Exodus 31:2-3, I said that I had called Bezalel by name and filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, understanding, and knowledge in all kinds of craftsmanship. Do you see? What I place within a person may remain in silence for a long time, but it is never forgotten. At the right moment, I not only reveal the gift within them, but also place that gift into a purpose greater than themselves. Favor does not only make you seen, favor causes the light I have entrusted to you to serve in the right place, in the right work, in the right season. Therefore, when you feel that you are still in a hidden place, do not see it as proof that the promise has been delayed. The hidden place is also a room of preparation. I do not conceal you to make you small. I cover you so that what is within you will not be touched in the wrong season. A precious seed is not thrown hastily onto stone merely so people can see it sooner. It needs soil, darkness, time, water, and the patience of the one who plants. In the same way, you need seasons without applause so that your roots may cling more deeply to me than to praise. You need roads where no one recognizes you so that your heart may learn to work for love and not for reward. Psalm 5:12 declares that I will bless the righteous and surround them with favor as with a shield. Beloved child, that favor both protects, prepares, and moves you forward according to the rhythm of heaven. When the season of breakthrough comes, it may not arrive in the way you imagined. It may not come with a great explosion, but through a series of small divine arrangements, someone suddenly remembers you. A recommendation comes at the right time. A door that was once closed opens without you having to knock for too long. Someone who was once silent now speaks well of what I have done within you. Proverbs 18:16 says that a person's gift makes room for them and brings them before great people. But understand this rightly. My child, that gift is truly beautiful only when it is placed under my authority. If talent goes ahead of character, it can lead you astray. But when favor walks together with humility, it will open a way without making your soul proud. I do not lift you up so that you may look down on others. I lift you up so that many may see that my hand still works wonders in those who know how to surrender. There is a holy weight within you that the world can sense even when it does not understand. It is not the weight of an ego wanting attention, but the presence of a soul that has been touched by me, purified by the fire of testing, and taught to stand in peace instead of display. When you enter a place with a pure heart, the atmosphere can shift, not because you are trying to make an impression, but because my light within you does not need permission from darkness in order to shine. Matthew 5:14 declares, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." But remember, true light does not boast that it is light, it simply continues to shine. True presence does not need to overpower anyone, it brings peace, awakens conscience, exposes what is false, and stirs hope in the weary. Therefore, beloved child, be faithful to what I have entrusted to you, even when you have not yet seen the whole picture. Continue to pray so that your spiritual discernment will not be mixed with wounds. Pride, or fear. Use that gift to love wisely, to avoid what does not come from me, to recognize those I send, to walk through the doors I open, and to stand still before the doors I close. Do not worry that anyone can take the portion I have appointed for you. What is born from heaven cannot be stolen by hands lacking light. When my timing comes, the favor will find you in the place where you are faithful, will draw you out of obscurity without you needing to lift yourself up, and will place you in the position where the promise begins to take form. And when everything is revealed, people will know that you did not make your own way. I myself led you. I myself preserved you. I myself opened the mouth of heaven to proclaim what I had placed upon you beforehand, so that the light within you would not only be seen, but would also become a living testimony of my love, power, and grace that never fail. Beloved child, what I have placed within you is not a burden meant to bend you down in weariness, but a holy weight meant to keep you from drifting away from the purpose I have appointed. Some souls are light as dust because they do not yet know where they belong. But you are not like that. I have anchored you in my love, in my promise, in the calling I breathed into your soul before you even understood your own name. Therefore, your presence does not need to be noisy in order to have influence. When you walk in righteousness, the atmosphere around you is quietly reminded that heaven still touches the earth. Matthew 5:14 declares, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. That light is not given so that you may exalt yourself, but so that you may live as evidence that grace can make a person steadfast, gentle, pure, and no longer shaken by what is false. Because you carry what is holy, I want you to learn how to guard the entrances into your life. Not everyone who speaks sweet words should be given a place close to your heart. Not everyone who comes with a smile carries a pure intention. Some people only want to enjoy the warmth of the light within you while having no respect for the flame I have preserved. Some connections come only to drain you, to make you doubt yourself, to pull you back into the old version of yourself from which I rescued you. Proverbs 4:23 teaches you to guard your heart above all else, for from it flow the springs of life. My child, guarding your heart is not living coldly, it is living watchfully. True love does not open every door unconditionally to what lacks respect. True humility does not require you to let others touch your life carelessly and then call it patience. I did not create you to shrink yourself to fit the small mold of others. If their eyes are accustomed to darkness, you do not need to dim your light so they feel less uncomfortable. If they do not yet understand the depth within you, you do not need to cut away the sacred part I have placed in your soul just to be accepted. Romans 12:2 reminds you not to be conformed to this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You do not belong to shallow standards that measure worth by how easy someone is to control, use, or overlook. You belong to me, and because you belong to me, you must learn to walk with the dignity of one who has been purchased by a very great love. 1 Corinthians 6:20 declares that you were bought with a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body. You are not an object for anyone to lift up and set down at will. You are a temple of my presence, and what is holy must be approached with reverence, truthfulness, and responsible love. Remember Abigail. Beloved child, she lived in a circumstance unworthy of the wisdom and dignity within her. Nabal, her husband, was rude and foolish. He insulted David and nearly brought disaster upon his entire household. But Abigail did not allow another person's foolishness to define her response. She rose with wisdom, prepared gifts, and went to meet David with humility without losing her dignity. In it Samuel Shugafem Her gentle words and discernment prevented blood from being shed. Do you see? A presence trained by me does not need aggression in order to carry power. A soul that knows who it is in me can step into chaos and calm the fire of revenge. Abigail did not lower herself before wrongdoing, nor did she allow bitterness to lead her. She carried wisdom, and that very wisdom caused others to recognize the value heaven had placed within her. Likewise, you are not a test for others to carelessly push against your limits, nor are you a place for unhealed souls to pour out their instability and call it love. You are a blessing, but a blessing must be received with hands that know how to treasure it. You are a gift, but a holy gift is not entrusted to carelessness. Matthew 7:6 reminds you not to cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them underfoot and then turn and tear you apart. That word does not teach you to look down on anyone, but to discern the value of what I have placed within you. Not everyone has the right to enter the deepest place of your life. Some people are meant to be loved from a distance. Some doors need to be closed in peace. Some invitations need to be declined so that your soul does not lose the purity I have restored. When you stand in the right position, the right people will not need you to lower yourself in order to be loved by them. They will recognize the light within you with respect, not with control. They will not make you apologize for your healing, nor shame you for your depth, nor ask you to return to your former smaller shape so they can feel safer. 2 Corinthians 6:14 asks what fellowship righteousness can have with lawlessness, and what communion light can have with darkness. Therefore, do not grieve over connections that can only survive when you forget your dignity. What must leave so that you can be free is not a loss, it is purification. What cannot honor the light within you will not be able to walk with you into the season I am opening. But hear me clearly. Beloved child, dignity is not arrogance. Knowing your worth does not mean looking down on others. Being chosen does not make you someone who stands above your brothers and sisters. It makes you responsible to live more purely, love more deeply, serve more humbly, and refuse to let darkness borrow your heart as a dwelling place. 1 Peter 2:9 declares that you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, called to proclaim the virtues of the one who brought you out of darkness into his marvelous light. You were called out of darkness not to return to living by the rhythm of darkness, but to become a sign of a life that has been redeemed. Therefore, be gentle without being weak, strong without becoming hard-hearted, humble without lowering yourself so much that you forget the hand I have placed upon you. Then the time will come when you realize that the right souls will be led to you, not by your self-promotion, but by my light within you. What belongs to me will recognize my mark. The one who is sent will not need you to beg them to stay. They will come with respect, with a heart that knows how to listen, with the ability to support rather than drain. Psalm 139:14 says that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Let that truth sink into every choice you make. From today on, do not live like someone who must prove that you are worthy of being treasured. Live as one who has been loved by me, called by me, guarded by me, and placed by me into a beautiful purpose. When you walk in that dignity, everything false will reveal itself. Every impure connection will fall away on its own, and what truly comes from heaven will find its way to you at the right time, in the right spirit, with the right love, and in the right light. Beloved child, I want you to understand with a watchful heart, yet without fear, that the truer the light becomes, the more easily darkness is stirred. When I place favor upon your life, it does not only open blessing, it also exposes what does not belong to the light. Therefore, do not be surprised if, in the season when you are being lifted up, the trials also become more subtle. I do not say this to plant anxiety within you, but to establish mature wisdom in you. At Peter Fem. 8 reminds you to be sober-minded and watchful, because the adversary prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. But my child, hear my word in full. He may prowl, but he does not reign. He may search for an opening, but he has no authority to cross the boundary I have established around the one who abides in me. Your watchfulness is not a life of confusion, but a walk with open eyes, a clean heart, and a soul firmly anchored in truth. There are attacks that do not come with a roar, but with a whisper. What is dangerous does not always appear in an obviously evil form. Many times it clothes itself in something pleasant, reasonable, even wrapped in words of praise. A compliment can quietly lead you away from humility if you do not guard your heart. A small compromise can be disguised as nothing serious, and then gradually cause your soul to lose its sensitivity to my spirit. A thought of self-doubt can repeat itself again and again until you begin to forget the word I have spoken over your life. Therefore, Proverbs 4:23 teaches you to guard your heart above all else, for from it flow the springs of life. Many great battles begin with a small thought you allow to remain. If that thought does not come from me, do not feed it. If that voice pulls you away from peace, away from obedience, away from your identity in me, bring it into the light and let my word judge it. Remember the people of Israel in the story of the Gibeonites in Joshua 9. Beloved child, those people knew my people were walking in strength, so they did not come with swords and spears, but with disguise. They wore old clothes, carried dry and moldy bread, and acted as though they had come from a very distant land to ask for a covenant. Outwardly, everything seemed pitiful, reasonable, and harmless. But the sorrowful thing is that my people examined the bread, looked at the clothing, listened to the explanation, yet did not inquire of the Lord. And because they lacked discernment in the Spirit, they entered into a covenant that did not come from my leading. Do you see? Not everything that appears urgent requires an immediate answer from you. Not every story that sounds moving is the whole truth. Not every invitation that seems peaceful comes from the light. I am not telling you to suspect everyone, but I am teaching you to ask me before you bind yourself, to discern before you open the door, and to listen to me before your heart is pulled away by appearances. Therefore, when you face opposition, do not panic, and do not become arrogant. The adversary has schemes, but I have given you weapons higher than every scheme. Ephesians 6:11 declares that you must put on the full armor of God so that you can stand firm against the schemes of the devil. You have truth as your belt, righteousness as your breastplate, faith as your shield, salvation as your helmet, and my word as the sword of the Spirit. These weapons are not distant images. They are your daily life. When you choose to speak the truth instead of hiding, you are fastening the belt of truth. When you keep your heart upright, even when provoked, you are wearing the breastplate of righteousness. When you refuse to believe the voice of accusation, you are lifting the shield of faith. When you remember that you have been saved, called, and loved, you are wearing the helmet that protects your mind from the arrows of doubt. Do not take lightly the small openings within the soul. Beloved child, a little bitterness left unhealed can become a place where darkness whispers. A little pride not brought before me can make it difficult for you to hear correction. A little weariness not rested in me can make you more likely to choose shortcuts that do not belong to my will. But do not magnify the enemy's power so much that you forget my authority within you. James 4:7 declares that you should submit yourselves to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. You do not resist through panic, but through surrender. You do not stand firm by fleshly confidence, but by abiding in the one who has overcome. When you submit to me, darkness loses its right to negotiate with your soul. When you remain in the truth, lies no longer have ground in which to take root. When you pray before reacting, you do not allow the outward battle to seize the throne within your heart. I also want you to understand that you are not fighting in order to seize a victory that may or may not belong to you. You fight from the position of one who has been redeemed by Christ and placed under the covenant of victory. Romans 8:37 declares that in all these things, you are more than conquerors through him who loved you. More than conquerors does not mean you will never be tested, never become weary, never have to cry. It means the trial has no authority to rewrite your identity. It means darkness may attack, but it cannot possess. It means that even when there is a battle, the outcome is already in my hands. Discern this clearly. You do not belong to fear. 2 Timothy 1:7 declares that I have not given you a spirit of timidity, but of power, love, and self-control. That strength is not noisy, it is calm. It does not need to boast, it knows how to stand firm. And finally, beloved child, let this word become the rock beneath your feet. You are loved, not because you perform perfectly, but because you belong to me. You are chosen not because you have no weaknesses, but because I have called your name in my mercy. You are positioned not according to the hurried rhythm of man, but according to the season I have prepared in heaven. Isaiah 43:1 declares, I have called you by your name, you are mine. When you remember whom you belong to, darkness cannot make you forget who you are. Continue to walk in watchfulness, but do not lose your peace. Guard your heart, but do not close yourself off from love. Recognize the schemes, but do not live as one obsessed with the enemy. The light within you is not a weak flame that needs to fear the wind. It is a fire preserved by me. And what I have appointed over your life will blaze forth in its proper season, so that your mission may be completed. My name may be glorified, and even the battles you once walked through will become a testimony that the one who abides in me is not defeated. Because before the battle ever began, I already held the victory in my hand. Beloved child, there are moments when you think you are only standing before a very small choice: to answer back or remain silent, to hold resentment or release it, to wound in return or continue to love. But I tell you, in the unseen realm, no choice born from love is ordinary. When you stand at that crossroads, when your heart is hurting, yet you still refuse to let darkness borrow your mouth, when your tears are still warm, yet you still choose what is right, heaven is not indifferent. What the eyes of the flesh call weakness, I see as a great victory of the soul. Romans 12:21 reminds you not to be overcome by evil, but to overcome evil with good. For every time you choose light instead of retaliation, you are not only breaking free from the chains of woundedness, but also opening the way for grace to keep flowing through your life. You may not hear any applause on earth, but in the heights, I see a child who is winning by becoming more like me. Never think that I only pay attention to great deeds done before the crowd. I see you in the empty room, when you try to swallow the lump in your throat so you will not speak bitter words. I hear the sigh. You do not have enough strength to turn into a prayer. I know the times you smile at others while your own heart is also in need of being upheld. Psalm 56:8 says that, I count your wanderings, store your tears in my bottle, and record them in my book. Beloved child, not one of your tears falls to the ground and disappears into meaninglessness. The very quiet prayers, the times when all you can do is call me with one word, Father, the nights when you have no words left, but your heart still turns toward me, all of these are kept in the holiness of heaven. Revelation 5:8 compares the prayers of the saints to incense before the throne. Therefore, what you offer up in loneliness is not small at all. It rises like sacred fragrance from a soul that still believes in the midst of darkness. The world may not always remember your name, and there may be people who pass through your life without understanding your worth. But you do not live to be remembered by hearts that forget easily. Luke 10:20 says, "To rejoice, because your names are written in heaven. I do not write your name with the fading ink of man, nor with the fragile applause of the crowd, but with the light of covenant. I know you not because you stand out before the eyes of the world, but because your soul carries my mark. I know every trembling heartbeat when you are trying to choose what is right. I know every time you wanted to give up but still rose again. I know every battle within you that others do not see. And I do not despise that hidden victory. A smile you give in the midst of pain can become a lamp standing against an entire region of darkness. A hand you extend to help someone else while you yourself are still weak can become a doorway through which they feel my mercy. Remember Stephen, my child, the man full of faith and the Holy Spirit in Acts 7, when stones were thrown at his body, when human hatred surrounded him like a violent storm. He did not allow darkness to write the final words upon his lips. In the midst of pain, he saw the heavens opened and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. Then, instead of cursing those who harmed him, he prayed, "Lord, do not hold this sin against them." Do you see? Forgiveness is not the weakness of a soul that does not know how to defend itself. Forgiveness is the power of the kingdom of heaven revealed through a person who has been deeply possessed by me. Hell does not tremble before retaliation, because retaliation is the language it knows well. But when a wounded soul still chooses mercy, when a heart has every reason to hate yet entrusts judgment to me, darkness is stripped of its right to rule in that place. Therefore, do not be ashamed if there are days when you feel fragile. I do not require you to become perfect before I love you. I do not turn my face away when you stumble, nor am I disappointed in you, simply because you are still learning how to stand firm. I look deeper than your moment of weakness. I see the direction of your heart still turning toward the light. 1 Samuel 16:7 reminds you that man looks at the outward appearance, but I look at the heart. You may blame yourself for not being strong enough, good enough, or bright enough, but I see within you a heart that still wants to belong to me, still wants to do what is right, still wants to love even after being wounded. That sincerity is what moves heaven. It is not a performance of righteousness that pleases me, but a truthful heart that dares to return, dares to speak to me with even the parts that are not yet healed, and dares to let grace touch the place you once wanted to hide. When you speak words of forgiveness, it does not mean the wound never hurt, nor does it mean you must reopen every door to someone who has not learned to honor the light within you. Forgiveness is laying the burden of judgment down from your own shoulders and placing it back into my righteous hands. Colossians 3:13 teaches you to forgive one another as the Lord has forgiven you. That word does not erase the truth, but sets you free from the prison of resentment. You do not need to drag old ashes behind you to prove that you were once burned. I know, I saw, I was there. And when you choose to release the poison of hatred from your heart, you are not making the wrongdoer right. You are simply refusing to let that wrong continue to rule your soul. That is a holy victory, a kind of freedom that no one can give except me. So, today, beloved child, continue to walk with a heart that is tender but not weak, with love but not blindness, with forgiveness but without losing wisdom. Every choice you make out of love is writing a testimony before me. Every time you help, even when your heart is weary. Every time you pray instead of cursing. Every time you choose peace instead of bitterness. Heaven takes notice. Do not say that you are only nameless dust, for in my eyes, You are a ray of light preserved by grace. Philippians 1:6 declares that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. I have not left your story. I have not abandoned the work within you. Believe that your sincerity is more precious than false perfection, that your tears have not been forgotten, and that the love you choose in the midst of pain is becoming a flame that darkness cannot extinguish. Beloved child, I have seen the seasons when your heart was covered by the long shadows of pain, when betrayal came without warning, when bitter words touched the softest place within you, when people you once trusted became the reason you began to question your own worth. But I have also seen something deeper. I have seen how you did not allow those things to become your new name. You could have responded with coldness. You could have built walls so high. You could have let bitterness make your voice sharp as a knife. But you chose the harder thing. You chose to rise. You chose to keep the pure part of yourself from becoming a dwelling place borrowed by darkness. You chose to forgive, little by little. Not because the pain was small, but because my love within you is greater than the power of the wound. Ephesians 4:32 reminds you to be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another as God in Christ has forgiven you. And every time you step into that word, you are not losing. You are carrying the mark of the kingdom of heaven. Hear me clearly. My child, forgiveness is not the weakness of a soul that does not know how to protect itself. Forgiveness is the authority of a heart I have freed from the prison of resentment. The world often thinks the strong one is the one who can repay the debt of pain. But I say the strong one is the one who can lay that debt down before my throne without allowing it to deform the soul. When you choose prayer instead of cursing, silence instead of fighting to win, mercy instead of pride, you are not merely doing something good, you are walking according to my nature. Romans 12:19 declares that vengeance belongs to me, and I will repay. That word does not take justice away from you, but removes from your shoulders the burden of having to become the judge. You do not need to make everything balanced by your own weary hands. I am the one who sees fully, knows fully, judges righteously, and heals deeply enough that you no longer have to be controlled by what happened. There is a truth I want to engrave deeply upon your heart. You are not defined by the place where you fell, by the season when you lost your way, or by the times when you felt so weak that you could no longer recognize yourself. Isaiah 49:16 declares, "See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your name is not written in sand for the wind to blow away, nor is it written by the fragile approval of man. You belong to me by a mark deeper than every accusation. When darkness reminds you of the past, remember Romans 8:1, that there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. I do not see you through the lens of what you once did wrong, but through the stream of grace that has touched you, called you back, washed you, lifted you, and restored within you the dignity that shame once tried to steal. Remember the woman caught in sin in John 8. Beloved child, they dragged her into the middle of the crowd, not to heal her, but to condemn her, not to restore her, but to use her shame as a tool for their hardened hearts. The stones were already in their hands, and judgment was already in their eyes. But when she stood before Christ, the story did not end with the death of disgrace. He said, "Let the one among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." And one by one, they left. Then he said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and sin no more." Do you see? True grace does not deny sin, but it also does not allow sin to speak the final word. Grace does not keep you lying forever in the ashes. Grace lifts you to your feet and opens before you a new way. Therefore, when you remember the times you wanted to give up, do not remember only the exhaustion. Remember how my hand upheld you. There were nights when you said within your heart that you could no longer keep walking. Yet the next morning you were still breathing, still standing, still doing one small thing in faith. That was not your own strength. That was me within you. Micah 7:8 declares, "Do not rejoice over me, my enemy, when I fall. I will rise when I sit in darkness. The Lord will be a light to me." You have had dark chapters, but darkness is not the author of your life. I am the one who continues the story. The sorrowful notes in your journey are not meaningless. I have placed them into a greater symphony, where tears, perseverance, obedience, and hope will all find their place in the song of redemption. Do not underestimate the small things you do while your heart is still hurting. A smile you give while you yourself still need comfort can become light for someone else. A gentle word you speak instead of a bitter reaction can stop an entire stream of darkness. One time, you stretch out your hand to help, even while your heart is weary, can become a bridge for someone to draw closer to me. Matthew 5:9 declares, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." You do not need to do dazzling works before the crowd in order to be recognized by heaven. I see faithfulness in the hidden place. I hear the prayer that has no words. Psalm 56:8 says that I keep your tears in my bottle. Therefore, do not think that any tear falls without my knowing. The things you offer in loneliness have risen before me, like the fragrance of a heart that still believes. From now on, lift up your head, not in arrogance, but in the assurance of one who has been loved. You are not a failure trying to beg for your worth again. You are a child purchased at a great price, learning to walk in your true identity. You are not the sum of your mistaken days. You are a living testimony that grace can write a new future upon the foundation of a past that once seemed ruined. Lamentations 3:22-23 declares that my mercies never come to an end, and my faithfulness is new every morning. So let every dawn remind you that I am not finished with you. The river of grace still flows. My hand still lifts. My calling still stands. No matter how far you once fell, as long as your heart turns toward the light, I will meet you, draw you up, wash away the dust of the road, and teach you to love again with a heart that is wiser, deeper, and purer. Beloved child, live as one who knows your name has been written in heaven. As Luke 10:20 reminds you to rejoice because your names are written in heaven. No accusation can erase what I have engraved with love. No dark season can swallow the light I have placed within you. No failure is stronger than the redeeming blood that has called you mine. Continue to choose love, but love in truth. Continue to forgive, but forgive in wisdom. Continue to walk, not seeing yourself through the lens of shame, but through my eyes. In my eyes, you are a warrior who has learned gentleness after the battle, a chosen one who has learned to rise from the ashes, the future of grace unfolding day by day. And I, the one who began the good work within you, will not leave it unfinished until what I promised becomes complete light upon your life. Beloved child, never measure your life by the cold standards of the world, for the world often counts only what it can see, the number of people who know your name, the number of praises you receive, the number of achievements weighed on the scales of the crowd. But I do not measure you that way. I look at your faithfulness when no one is watching, at the tenderness you preserve after being wounded, at the times you choose silence, not because you are weak, but because you do not want darkness to borrow your mouth to sow more division. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. As 1 Samuel 16:7 has spoken, and there, within your heart, I have seen victories that human eyes do not name, A quiet act of love is not small before my throne. A prayer of intercession in an empty room does not dissolve into nothingness. A tear that falls while you are still trying to hold on to faith is never forgotten. These things do not disappear. I keep them in the holy memory of heaven. There are days when you think you are moving backward, when it seems that all your efforts have not brought you anywhere, when it seems that honesty causes you to suffer loss, while the deceitful move forward more quickly. But my child, do not mistake going deeper for falling behind. A tree's roots do not grow upward into the sky first. They go down into the earth first. Quietly, in darkness, unseen by anyone. Yet that is where life is being prepared. When I lead you into the deeper places of faith, I am not hiding you from blessing. I am making you capable of carrying the blessing without being overthrown by it. James 1:12 says that blessed is the one who endures trial, because after being tested, that person will receive the crown of life that I have promised to those who love me. Do you see? The scratches along the journey are not merely marks of pain in my hands. They become the material of glory, like pearls formed from tears. Patience, and a heart that refused to give up. Remember Cornelius in the book of Acts 10. Beloved child, he was not someone standing in the temple to be praised by the people, nor was he prominent in the eyes of those who like to measure holiness by outward form. But he feared me, gave generously to the people, and prayed continually. Then one day, an angel came to him and said, "Your prayers and your gifts to the poor have come up as a memorial offering before God." Do you hear that? The quiet good deeds of one person became a remembrance before heaven. No one can say anymore that prayer in silence is useless. No one can say that kindness goes unanswered. I saw Cornelius before many people understood him. I remembered his life before a new door opened for his whole household to receive the gospel. In the same way, what you do in love may not yet be named by anyone on earth, but it is already echoed in the spiritual realm. Therefore, when you choose prayer instead of complaint, you are not merely changing your voice, you are placing the circumstance into my hands, where power can do what you cannot. When you choose honesty in a world accustomed to hiding, you are standing like a lamp in the night. When you choose to love someone who once hurt you, not so they can continue wounding you, but so your heart will not be imprisoned in the chains of hatred that is a triumph of the soul. Romans 12:21 teaches you not to be overcome by evil, but to overcome evil with good. And every time you live this way, you reveal the power of a kingdom that does not operate by retaliation, but by grace. Darkness is familiar with hatred, familiar with accusation, familiar with the cycle of wound, answering wound. But when you break that cycle with mercy, you do what only true light can do. I want you to understand that heaven is not cold toward your small choices. When you bow your head in prayer and no one knows, I am there. When you hold back a harsh word because you do not want to break someone further, I hear. When you leave your comfort zone to lift someone who is weary, I walk with you. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown. As Hebrews 6:10 clearly reminds you, therefore, do not let the ingratitude of people make you think your kindness is meaningless. There are things you give that do not return from the same person, but I have countless ways to answer your faithfulness. A comforting embrace, a word full of grace, a quiet act of help, a moment when you choose kindness, even though your own heart is exhausted. All of it is recorded in the light. Not so you may become proud, but so you may know that love never falls into emptiness. Beloved child, there are failures you once felt ashamed to mention again, but I see in them the evidence that you still kept walking. There are seasons when you thought you were doing nothing except surviving each day, but I saw faithfulness still breathing within your pain. There were times when you could not sing a song, and could only whisper a very short prayer. Yet that prayer still rose before me. Psalm 56:8 says that I count your wanderings and keep your tears in my bottle. Therefore, do not say that no one knows. I know. I know the nights when you wiped away your own tears so that the next morning you could still treat others kindly. I know the times you wanted to give up but still chose to stand. I know even the battles in your thoughts, where you had to resist the voice saying you were useless, unworthy, and unloved. And every time you turn back toward me, even with only a weak breath, light is kindled within you again. Then there will come a day when the scrolls are opened, not according to the showy ways of man, but according to my pure righteousness. The things that were overlooked will be remembered. The works done out of love will be given their proper worth. The seasons when you kept your heart pure though you were misunderstood will become a song before heaven. Revelation 14:13 declares that blessed are those who die in the Lord, for their works follow them. This reminds you that nothing done in me is ever lost. The seeds you sow today may sleep beneath the soil for a time, but they are not dead. I know which season must be watered, which season must be covered, which season must be brought to sprout, and which season must bring the fruit into the light. Do not be quick to draw conclusions simply because you have not yet seen the result. Life that belongs to me often grows in silence before it is revealed in glory. So continue to live as a child of light, not because everyone will understand, but because I understand. Continue to love, but with wisdom. Continue to forgive, but without losing holy boundaries. Continue to pray, even when the room is empty and your voice is small, because no word lifted from a sincere heart is meaningless before me. When you feel like only one nameless person among millions, remember that my eyes never lose sight of you in the crowd. Matthew 10:30 says that even the hairs on your head have all been numbered. If I know even something so small, would I not know the great things taking place within your soul? You are a ray of light I am preserving, a story of grace I am writing, a responding note in the symphony of heaven. And every time you choose light in the midst of a dark world, all of heaven knows that in you, my love is still overcoming. Beloved child, remember that I am not searching for souls who know how to create an echo before the crowd but quickly grow weary in the hidden place. I look deeply at quiet hearts that remain faithful, at feet that may not move quickly but refuse to turn back, at hands that keep sowing what is good even before they see the harvest. The world likes to measure greatness by applause, by reputation, by things that shine brightly before human eyes, but I measure by obedience in the dark, by kindness when no one responds, by a very small prayer offered from a trembling heart that still believes. God is not unjust so as to forget your work and the love you have shown. As Hebrews 6:10 reminds you, therefore, do not think that what you do in silence dissolves into nothing. One act of forgiveness can cut off a stream of bitterness that has flowed through many seasons. One time you choose love instead of feeding, resentment can sow into the soil of the future, a seed whose shade many will later enjoy. One time you open your heart in wisdom can become a doorway through which blessing flows into places that seemed completely dry. You only see a small choice, but I see an eternal foundation being built. There are days when you wake up and feel your soul heavy. As though a mist has settled over it, prayer becomes harder. Your heart feels more unsettled. Tears feel closer, and yet you do not understand why. Do not be quick to condemn yourself as weak. And do not think I have gone far from you simply because you no longer feel the fire in your heart as you once did. Many times, in those very moments, the spiritual realm is moving more deeply than you can express. When a soul draws near to the light, darkness often tries to stir things up, not because it is stronger than me, but because it recognizes that what I am doing within you is no longer easily hidden. But my child, I do not let you walk alone through that battle. Psalm 91:11 declares that I will command my angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. And that word is not a distant image. It is holy protection that your eyes may not always see, but your soul can learn to trust. No arrow has the authority to pierce the place I have covered, and no darkness can swallow the one who knows how to hide in me. Remember Hannah, beloved child, the woman who brought her quiet sorrow before me in the temple. She did not have elegant prayers for others to praise. Her lips only moved in pain, and her heart poured itself out before me like water. Eli the priest looked at her and misunderstood, thinking she was drunk. But I knew she was praying from a depth that human ears could not hear. In it, Hannah said that she was a woman troubled in spirit, simply pouring out her soul before the Lord. Do you see? There are moments when even your prayer may be misunderstood, but I never mistake your tears. From that prayer in silence, I gave Samuel, a prophet used to change the course of the people. So do not despise the moments when you kneel down in weakness, where people only see brokenness. I may be conceiving a season of spiritual birth because your name has been written in heaven. Live as one who carries an identity higher than every judgment of the earth. Luke 10:20 says to rejoice because your names are written in heaven. And Philippians 3:20 also reminds you that your citizenship is in heaven. This means you do not simply walk as someone trying to survive another day. You walk as a citizen of the kingdom of light, where your words, actions, silence, and choices all carry spiritual weight. When you speak, let your words become a stream of healing, not an arrow that tears someone further apart. When you act, choose to lift others up instead of pushing them down so you can feel higher. When you are misunderstood, remember that silence in my hands is not defeat, but can be a form of power governed by love. Living as one who belongs to heaven is not easy, but it causes your life to radiate a light that darkness does not know how to imitate. I know there were times when you were so tired that you only wanted to let go. You once sighed within your heart that you could not take any more, could not endure any more, could not love any more, could not believe any more. But precisely when you thought your own strength had run out, I revealed that the source of your life does not lie in your own power. Grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. As 2 Corinthians 12:9 has spoken, I do not need you to be perfect before I act. I only need you to keep turning your face toward me. Even with a fragile breath, when you kneel down and say, Father, I still believe. That word is not small before me. It is like a lamp being lit in the night, and I draw near to broken souls more closely than you imagine. I turn tears into gracious rain, silence into a place of restoration, loneliness into a room of encounter, and the days when you think nothing is happening into a season where I am quietly preparing deep roots within you. Beloved child, do not fear the narrow road simply because not many people understand it. On that road, there will be times when you must forgive, while the world calls it foolishness. Love while your heart still carries scars. Hope when your eyes have not yet seen any sign. Pray when others choose to complain. And keep doing good when no one has yet said thank you. But Galatians 6:9 reminds you not to grow weary in doing good. For in due season you will reap if you do not lose heart. Your reward does not exist only in some distant day. It begins in every breath of peace I give you when you choose what is right. Every time you refuse to let resentment win, you receive more freedom. Every time you refuse to let fear lead the way, you receive more steadfastness. Every time you refuse to let darkness define you, you step deeper into the identity of one who has been loved by me, called by me, and kept by me. And if loneliness ever covers you, remember that I understand that loneliness more than anyone. Christ passed through the cross, tasted abandonment, and endured shame, so that you would never have to be truly alone in the deepest place of your soul. John 16:33 declares that in this world you will have trouble. But take heart, for I have overcome the world. You are not called to live a life without trials, but to live a life with me in the midst of every trial. Rise, not with the hardness of ego, but with the gentleness of faith. Keep walking, not to prove that you are strong, but to testify that I am faithful. I am upholding, protecting, shaping, and preparing a new season for you. Everything you do out of love is joining the heartbeat of heaven. Every choice you make for the light causes the darkness to retreat. And when the appointed time comes, you will look back and understand that every small, faithful step, every prayer caught in your throat, every act of forgiveness in the midst of pain was never in vain. All of it became the path leading you into the reward of peace, into the depth of grace, and into the eternal life I prepared for you before you even knew how to call my name. Beloved child, there are times when you think you are walking a journey that is deeply personal, so quiet that it seems no one sees it. No one understands the price of each step you take. But I want you to know that in the spiritual realm, your race is not being run in isolation. We are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. As Hebrews 12:1 reminds you, not so that you would live under pressure, but so that you would remember that your faith is continuing a holy stream that has flowed since ancient times. Those who passed through the fire of testing before you, those souls who remained faithful until the end, do not look upon you with judgment, but with the joy of those who understand that the flame they once carried is still burning in this generation. Every time you choose to rise instead of surrendering, every time you choose love instead of allowing your heart to grow cold, every time you choose forgiveness instead of holding on to old chains, you are proving that the light I have sown into humanity is not extinguished by darkness, not buried by pain, and not stolen by seasons that seem silent. Therefore, do not take lightly your hidden choices. When you obey in a small thing, I am weaving into your life a golden thread of glory. When you pray through tears, I do not only hear the sound of your words, I also hear the trembling of faith that is still clinging to me in the deep night. When you keep your heart tender though you have been wounded, you are not merely doing something beautiful. You are opening a way for the souls who come after you to know that freedom is real. There are spiritual doors that are opened not by showy strength, but by the enduring faithfulness of a heart that refuses to let bitterness rule. You think you are only making it through each day, but I see you laying foundation stones for what is eternal. Galatians 6:9 declares that you should not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap if you do not lose heart. You do not need to see the harvest immediately in order to believe that the seed is alive. Simply continue sowing in the light, because I am the one who holds the seasons and knows the day when the fruit must be revealed. My child, engrave this deeply upon your heart. I did not wait until you were qualified before I called you. It is my calling itself that equips you, trains you, upholds you, and transforms you. My choice of you did not begin with your record of achievements, nor was it based on how much strength you held in your hands. I saw you before you knew how to understand yourself. I knew your limitations, the cracks within your heart, the times you would doubt, the seasons when you would feel far too small, and still, I called you. For I do not only see you as you are now, I see you in the light of what I will do through you. My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. As 2 Corinthians 12:9 has spoken, therefore, do not be ashamed of the places within you that are still fragile. It is precisely there that my light can pass through most gently and clearly, so that others may know that the goodness within you is not the product of pride, but the mark of grace that is alive. Remember Amos, beloved child. He did not appear as someone trained among the ranks of honored prophets, nor did he build for himself a spiritual position before the eyes of the people. He had been a shepherd and a tender of sycamore fig trees, living an ordinary, rough, and simple life, not bearing the appearance of someone who would be sent to speak the words of heaven. But in Amos 7:14-15, he said that he was not a prophet, nor the son of a prophet. The Lord took him from following the flock and told him to go and prophesy to his people. Do you see? I am not limited by a person's background, occupation, education, or past. When I place my hand upon a soul, what is ordinary can become holy. What has been overlooked can become an instrument. And the one who seems unqualified can carry a message that shakes an entire nation. Therefore, do not tell me that you are not enough. If I have called you, I will also give you the grace to step into what I have called you to do. I know there are burdens you have carried that no one fully understands. There are battles you cannot tell, weariness you do not know how to name, moments when you only have enough strength to sit still while your heart cries out in silence. But you have never been abandoned in those moments. Romans 8:26 declares that the Spirit helps you in your weakness. For you do not know how to pray as you ought, but the Spirit Himself intercedes with groanings too deep for words. Beloved child, even when you have no words left, I still understand the language of tears. Even when you think silence is a sign of distance, many times it is the garment I place over you, so your heart may rest beneath my shadow. When you fall, I do not stand far away counting your mistakes. I bend down to lift you. When you are weak, I do not withdraw my love. I draw nearer, so you may know that true strength does not begin with your perfection, but with my presence within you. And now, open your heart to recognize that the prayers you thought had dissolved into the dark night have not disappeared. The desires you buried deep because you feared disappointment. The things you dared to tell me only when no one else could hear. The tears you quickly wiped away so you could keep walking. All of them have risen before me. Before they call, I will answer while they are still speaking. I will hear. As Isaiah 65:24 reveals, my heart toward those who seek me. There are doors you thought were locked forever, but I am placing my hand upon the latch. There are pieces of your life you thought were scattered, but I am arranging them into a picture far beyond what you can imagine. There are delays you once lamented, but I am using them to protect you from what is not yet in season. There are encounters that seem accidental, but I am turning them into connecting points for a greater purpose. In me, there is no meaningless coincidence. Even a detour can become a road of mercy, leading you to a place that is safer, deeper, and more aligned with my will. Therefore, keep walking, beloved child, not as someone alone trying to withstand life by yourself, but as one who knows you are being upheld by heaven. When you pass through a rough road, I walk with you. When you see no one cheering for you on earth, remember that heaven still knows every faithful step you take. When you do not understand why something is closed, trust that my hand has never left your story. Proverbs 5-6 teaches you to trust in me with all your heart and not to lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge me, and I will direct your paths. I am working in the things you see and also in the things you have not yet seen. I am opening doors, healing, arranging, connecting, and preparing. What you once thought were wasted tears will become streams that water a new season. What you once thought was weakness will become the place where my power is revealed. And when the appointed time comes, you will look back and know that you were never walking alone from beginning to end. I was there, both the one who called you, the one who kept you, and the one who will complete what I began in you with love that never fails. Beloved child, be still for a moment in the deepest place of your heart, not to escape the world, but so that you may recognize my voice among the many voices pressing around you. There are words that can be heard only by the physical ear, but there are also words that must be received by a soul softened in my presence. What I want to place within you today is not a rebuke that makes you shrink back in fear, but a holy truth that raises you up in love. My word does not change with the age, does not fade with human emotion, and does not lose its power simply because the world has become louder than before. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. As Matthew 24:35 is spoken, therefore, when I call you, it is not a passing sound, but the voice of the one who knew you before you understood yourself. The voice of love, desiring to lead you out of slumber. The voice of grace, desiring to awaken what I have sown deep within your soul. Do not be afraid when you realize that you still have many limitations. I have never chosen you because you were no longer weak, nor did I wait for you to become perfect before placing my hand upon your life. I see the trembling places within you, the things you are still hesitant to step into, the places where you still wonder whether you have enough strength. But it is precisely there that I desire to reveal my power. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says that my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Do you see? What I need is not a vessel without cracks. What I need is a vessel willing to remain in my hands so that the light can shine through. If you offer me a hardened heart, you will be difficult to shape. But if you offer me a tender heart, even one still filled with tears, I can turn it into a place from which life flows out to many. Remember Samuel when he was still a child in the temple. Beloved child, at night, in the stillness, I called his name, but at first he did not recognize my voice. He ran to Eli, thinking his teacher was calling him. Only after being guided did Samuel say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." As 1 Samuel 3:10 records. Do you see? There are calls from heaven that do not come at first in radiant clarity, but come like a repeated prompting in the night, like a small movement within the soul that cannot be ignored. I do not rebuke you for not recognizing it immediately. I patiently call again, teaching you to distinguish my voice from the voice of anxiety, my voice from the voice of fear, my voice from the voice of the world. What matters is not that you understand everything from the beginning, but that when you recognize I am calling, you know how to answer with obedience. Therefore, do not delay your life until everything becomes favorable. Do not wait until you are no longer afraid before you walk, no longer hurt before you love, no longer have questions before you believe. Faith is not waiting for the fog to lift completely before moving forward. Faith is taking my hand when you can see only enough light for the next step. Hebrews 11:8 reminds you that Abraham, by faith, obeyed and went out, even though he did not know where he was going. I am inviting you to walk in that same way, not in the recklessness of the ego, but in the trust of one who knows their Father does not lead them down the wrong path. When you love while you still carry wounds. When you serve, though your heart is still weary. When you speak words of life instead of bitter words. I am not only working around you, I am beginning to work through you, so that your life becomes evidence that grace is still breathing upon the earth. There are times when you think you are invisible, as though no one recognizes your quiet efforts. No one hears your small prayers. No one sees the times you try to keep your heart upright under pressure. But I see. Psalm 56:8 says that I keep your tears in my bottle. Therefore, no tear shed for what is good falls without meaning. The prayers you whisper in weariness do not dissolve into emptiness. The acts of love no one acknowledges are not erased from the memory of heaven. When the world overlooks you, I still remember. When people only see the outward result, I see the inner battle you fought in order to choose what is right. You may seem small in the eyes of the crowd, but in my eyes, you carry the mark of covenant. Ephesians 1:13 says that those who belong to me are sealed with the promised Holy Spirit. Therefore, you are not a nameless soul drifting aimlessly, but a child marked by love. I do not call you merely so that you may hear once and then continue sleeping in your old fears. I call you so that you may awaken. I call you so that you may know your words can carry healing. Your hands can lift those who have fallen, and your presence can bring peace into places filled with chaos. Philippians 2:13 declares that it is I who work in you, both to will and to act according to my good purpose. That means the holy desires within you are not accidental. The stirring to live more purely, to love more deeply, to walk more truthfully, to pray more, to forgive more freely, all of these are signs that I am at work within you. Do not take those small movements lightly. One day, you will understand that the greatest changes often begin with a very quiet yes. So today, beloved child, rise with gentleness, yet with firmness. Let the ear of your soul become more familiar with my voice than with accusation, more familiar with promise than with fear, more familiar with light than with darkness. My word in Isaiah 55:11 declares that the word that goes out from my mouth will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire. If I have spoken life over you, death has no authority to rewrite it. If I have called you to step out, the past has no authority to bind your feet forever. If I have placed light within you, temporary invisibility cannot erase what I am preparing to reveal. Trust me when you do not yet understand everything. Follow me when you cannot yet see the whole road. And offer me your sincere heart. Then the world will see, not a person who made themselves great, but a life raised up by me, illuminated by me, and sent by me, so that all who still doubt may know that I still live, still love, still call by name, still wipe away tears, and still turn willing souls into witnesses of my glory on the earth.